Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for introducing me and saying good things about me. Thank you. And Tashi Delik, all of you. Uh, I want to extend my gratitude to all of you for joining us and willing to listen the wisdom that I want to share here today. So before that, I want to start with the lineage group prayers. Kangi shesanda we mingom geser zumba dandrashi simbesio sendro save dugu miki dizugyu tuje dhamma kuni kyuren jide sunge konja ve tuan pema karpe tarin dalo yitso kyung ugen soning peme dombo se gewe namde rashi lingedo senso pejo de songa we pema jungne dalo peso kyung Gyawa gunju rinzin dai ju kansa mili kaba rajo pa dambi ju su tingi tachen pa gyusum lama namla chasa lo kada chuni gumpa ngundu ju lundu na she taro che nyeba dingi nalzur chok chen pa ugen chimcho shabla soa de tamba tumbi midul tamba e jesu sanga temba shirugi zina da de kajan sinden je ngujyo pande lama soa de yunden sange kunda nyamna yang kadin sange kunda da mewa rikdung chugo ranshe tenze pa sawe lami shamla soa de nelo topa ke warshin ge lo tisum sange tamche ke ngo rida ke ngo gyazo ke kyapta kade lana mache we penge lami shabdul tima me pala kusum gyuba chenpo gune chaze shingep su che o chinge la to so. So foremost, I would like to request all of you to cultivate the bodhicitta intention if you are aware of that, and if you are have no idea about how to about this bodhicitta intention, then for you guys can just correct your motivation that whatever the knowledge that you will receive today, you will apply that in order to help oneself and in order to help the people around you. Okay, so with that intention, I will start the today's teaching. So foremost, I would like to say Tashidelik to you, everyone. And so our topic is about how to bring the adversity to our spiritual path. So before starting that, I want to introduce you the prophecy that was prophesied by Guru Padma Sambhava, Guru Rinpoche. So he prophesied that during the dark age and during that period, 5 degenerations or 5 adversities will occur in this world. And Master Longchen Rabjam identifies these 5 degeneration as the degeneration of period, degeneration of lifespan, and degeneration of view, and degeneration of sentient beings, and degeneration of afflictive emotions. So those are the 5 types of degenerations that Guru Padma Sambhava has prophesied. But then Master Longchen Ramja, he defines that the degeneration of period during that time and additionally degeneration of lifespan. So these 2 types of degeneration, the degeneration of period and a degeneration of lifespan, these 2 kind of degeneration, it deteriorates our life force. It deteriorates our belongings, our properties, materials, and so on. And during the degeneration of view and degeneration of afflictive emotions, this too ruins the dharmic view, and it will create the mental disturbance. And the degeneration of sentient being, that degeneration declines the body, our body, and it deteriorates our health, our energy, our mental state, our focus, calmness, and it enhanced the laziness in us, which is the lack of effort, right? So those are the 5 degenerations, how it impacts us negatively, negative in a negative way. So these 5 degeneration affects our mind, our emotions, and our feelings as well. Okay, so that was just the explanation about the 5 types of degenerations, or you can call the adversities, 5 types of adversities. And so to relate with today's topic, how to bring the adversity to our spiritual path, right? So that's how to bring this into the spiritual path. So for that, we have to go back to the 6th BCE, which is during the Siddhartha Gautam Buddha's era, right? So for that, we have to go back to the 6th BCE era. So the very first teaching of Lord Buddha, which is the Four Noble Truths, it depicts how he discovered the ultimate truth, right? So his story basically starts when Buddha sees the adversities of samsara. For the very first time, when he sees the adversities of the samsara, it impacts him so intensely that he wants to break free from it, free from that adversity. That's how he started his spiritual journey, to find the solution or to find the cause of the adversities, right? And then he end up into the spiritual path, and ultimately he attained the liberation from the adversities. So that's the whole map, how he started his journey all the way to the attainment of enlightenment. And in the same way, he also taught to us the same how he started his journey. So how his spiritual journey was. So he depict the whole story of his spiritual journey in his very first teaching, which is the Four Noble Truths, right? So that's about how to how we bring the adversities in our spiritual path. So likewise, sometimes these adversities become a kind of blessing for us, right? But then the conversion of the adversities into a blessing is possible only when we understand that our negative mental events cause all the adversities. When we understand that, then only we can convert the adversities into blessings. So that's the first thing. And second thing is that when we have the determination to get rid of that cause, for that we have to make the effort, right? Then only we will search for the path, and then we will be able to liberate ourselves from the adversities. So it's the same like how Siddhartha Gautam Buddha, his story. So it's the same thing that we have to repeat the same thing in our life or in our practice to get rid of the adversities. So to bring the adversities to our spiritual path, initially we must know how our mind is related with the adversity. So we have to understand the relationship between the adversity and our mind, which is the perceiver. For that, let's first identify our emotions, right? From the perspective of Buddhist philosophy and from the perspective of Western psychology. So we can do that together, and let's find out how our emotions are identified in these two different perspectives. So our life is suffused with all pervasive suffering. So all pervasive suffering means it refers to the concept of impermanence, the changing nature of this phenomena. So our life is like it keeps on changing. Our life and even the object, the we sentient beings are the subject, and so whatever we perceive is the object, right? So the object and subject, all the habitat and inhabitant of this world have the same nature of changing impermanence. So that's why it's normal for us to feel uh, like negative emotions. It's normal for us to feel like kind of depression and anxieties and so on. But the thing is, at the same time, we have to know that we humans have the inbuilt potential of the mind to deal with this kind of adversities and this kind of negative emotions. So for that, we have to first understand that we have that potential inbuilt, like it's inborn, right? Okay, so then first let's open the chart of or the statistic of the mental health of this of the world, of the world population. And then we can do the according to the U.S. population, what number of people are suffering from these mental health issues, right? So according to the National Institute of Mental Health Statistics, the US population, we have 331.9 million people according to the population. In 2021, it's estimated that more than 1 in 5 adults live with a mental illness, which is like 17.4% percentage of the population. So according to the world population, which is 7.8888 billion in 2021, 1 in every 8 people, that is 12.4 percentage, around the world were living with mental disorder, with anxiety and depressive disorder and so on, all those mental issues, So in 2020, the number of people living with the mental disorder rose insignificantly by 2% because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is the brief chart or statistic of the mental health of according to the National Institute of Mental Health, right? Okay, so now the question is, how do we know that adversity, how do we know that the adversity disturbs our mind, right? How do we know that adversity is the cause that disturbs our mental health? Okay, so for that, we have to go back. So it's the way I'm teaching here, it's the same as how the Four Noble Truths are taught. The first noble truth is understanding the suffering, right? So first understand the suffering, which means to understand the adversity. Try to understand that what kind of adversity we are facing in this contemporary world. So that's the first noble truth. And then the second one is to find out the origination of that suffering, right? So that's how the sequence of Four Noble Truths are. So I'm teaching according to that. So that's why the question here, it comes that how do we know that the adversity disturbs our emotions, our mind? So our life goal is all about survival. So the fulfillment of wishes, like in our life we have this fulfillment of wishes and needs without any hindrance. For example, survival to fight against illness, survival to fight against the poverty, to meet the basic needs, and to acquire the luxury demands, and survival in the midst of success to fight against the failure, survival in our relationship to fight against the infidelity, and so on. So our life is all about survival, surviving against those failure and those illness and so on, right? So according to the Buddhist perspective, to sustain our survival, we build two kinds of emotions, which are expectation and doubt. You can say expectation and fear, or you can say just expectation and doubt. So the expectation is to obtain something, to get something, right? And doubt is an insecure feeling of losing, or a doubt is a fear. So this expectation arises from our desire, pleasure, interest, passion, while the doubt arises from anger, dissatisfaction, fear, sadness, disgust, and so on. So these two types of emotions project the action of acceptance to thrive and rejection to fight. Okay, so the expectation, it gives rise to the acceptance, and the doubt, it gives rise to the rejection. So acceptance and rejection are the two types of action that are the result of expectation and doubt. So that is about the Buddhist, how Buddhist perspective, describes about the two types of emotions that are like kind of defense mechanism that we use to survive in this world. Similarly, in the explanation of psychology, in order to sustain our survival, we manifest a fight and flight theory. The fight and flight responses that we have, like as it act as a defense mechanism to fight against the stress, fight against the negative situation, problematic situations, and so on, right? So the fight and flight responses is a stress response, right? Those are stress response that refers to the physiological reaction that occurs when in the presence of something mentally or physically terrifying. So these responses prepares our body to either deal with the threat or to escape for safety. So in terms of anger, the fight response is to gain the victory, and the flight response is the fear of losing. While in terms of desire, the fight response is to approach, to achieve the object of desire. And the flight response is fear of rejection. So in that way, adversities stress us out because we have both the emotions, the negative, such as anger and desire. So these two types of responses, the fight response and the flight response, also affects our emotions. And so in that way, the adversities stress us out. So the researchers suggest that over time, repeated activation of the stress responses takes a toll on our body, which may result in high blood pressure and artery clogging and so on. Those all the health issues, right? Okay, so now the question is, how is the fight and flight stress response of psychological theory is related to the Buddhist perspective of emotional response of expectation and doubt. So how do you relate these two things? The fight or flight theory is just a physiological response, while the Buddhist perspective of expectation and doubt is an emotional response. So that is the difference between one is the physiological response and one is the emotional response, right? So therefore, the physiological response of acceptance and rejection arises from these two emotional response. So in terms of a fight and flight theory, in that case, it mentioned only about the physiological stress response, right? But in Buddhism, the thing is, the theory, the many of the path, or you can say the theory of Buddhism, it goes deep beyond the physiological reaction. So that's why it goes beyond that, and then it find out the origin, the path of Buddhism. It finds the origin of those physiological reaction, right? So in that way, we find that the emotional responses of expectation and doubt are the main cause of all the stress or the adversities. So then even in terms of action, the acceptance is the physiological reaction of expectation, and rejection is the physiological response of doubt, right? So in that case, that is how the psychological theory and the Buddhist perspective are related to each other. Okay, so then again, the second difference, or you can say the similarities, or we can say the difference between these two theories, or these two perspectives of psychology and the Buddhism, is that Buddhism considers that the negative emotions that disturb our mind and behavior are the cause of unpleasantness and hindrance to the path of liberation, right? So Buddhism considers that those negative emotions, such as those non-psychotic mental events, those are considered as a hindrance to the path of enlightenment, the path of liberation. So those negative emotions also causes suffering and unpleasantness to us, but that is only for the temporary. That's only the temporary matter, right? But then if we think beyond that, then those negative emotions, non-psychotic emotions, that becomes a kind of a obstacle for us to achieve the enlightenment or liberation. So that is from the Buddhist context. But then in terms of scientific world, or you can say the psychological world, the thing is mental conditions that are executed by our extreme emotions and thoughts and behavior are considered as a non-psychotic psychological disorder. So it's termed as a non-psychotic psychological disorder or mental disorder. So that's the difference between that, you know. So psychology identifies anxiety, anxiety disorder, depression, and PTSD, and OCD, and narcissistic personality disorder. All those are considered as a non-psychotic disorder. So that's the difference between how the negative emotions are. One considers those negative emotions as a non-psychotic mental disorder, and Buddhism considered these negative emotions as a hindrance to the path of liberation and hindrance to our temporary happiness, right? Okay, then Buddhism implies that those non-psychotic mental conditions are stimulated by emotions such as selfishness, self-clinginess, ego, pride, and ignorance. More importantly, ignorance is the main cause of all the non-psychotic mental condition or mental disorder, right? While psychologists identifies adverse circumstances such as poverty, violence, inequality, financial stresses, job stress, relationship stress. Psychology considers those stresses as the cause of disturbing emotions. So that's the difference between the psychological, their way of identifying the cause and how the Buddhism identified the cause of adversity, right? So which means the Buddhism, it analyzes beyond the situation. So usually when something happens, we would just blame someone, or we would just say that those kind of failure happened because the situation wasn't good or something. We would just blame others instead of trying to find out that how how it has happened from our negative emotions, uh, how it impacted us, how it impact us, or how it results in the negative emotions or in the in a negative feelings, like so those are the main like difference between these two perspectives. Okay, so the cause that is mentioned in Buddhism is the primary cause. Okay, now the conclusion. So we have to conclude, right? I already mentioned the differences between these two perspectives. But then the thing is, the cause that is mentioned in Buddhism is the primary cause, while the cause that is mentioned in psychology is just a condition. That's not the real cause. That's just the condition, the adversities that the one that I have mentioned, right? The different adversities of these stress, like job stress, financial stress, and all those adversity are just condition that gives rise to the disturbing emotions. So one is like one says that the cause of all those adversity is our negative emotions. One of the perspective, it identifies that the adversities are the cause of all the negative, all the negative mental emotions. But then the thing is, those are just the condition. The adversities are just the condition, while the cause that Buddhism identify is the primary cause of all the problems, all the miseries of this samsara, right? Okay, so then the thing is, we are human, right? We are human, we have feeling. So it's normal for us to face like the negative emotions, like feeling depressed, feeling panic, and feeling anxiety, and feeling grief, and so on. Those are like kind of like different characteristics. Those are the different type of characteristics of our emotions. So we are likely to experience those kind of emotions, because once you have mind, then there you will have the characteristics of different characteristics of mind. So those are the negative emotions, then of grief and anxiety and so on. So after all, we are humans, so we are not like machine or robots. So it's normal to have human attributes within us in terms of emotions and feelings. But then it becomes like a kind of problem when those negative emotions begin to disturb our daily life, begin to disturb our relationships, begin to disturb the peace of our mind for a long term, then the thing is we need or to take a help from someone in order to break free from these negative mental emotions. Okay, so then the question is, why are we sensitive towards hardships? Why we are sensitive towards adversities? Because our emotions is not a cancer cell. It's not a cancer cell that we removed by doing radiations and all those things, or killing the cancer cell by medical treatment. So the thing is, the emotions are, you cannot take care of the emotions by eating medicines or numbing or to numb ourselves by eating those medical facilities, these days. So in that way, the thing is, when we eat the medicine, and we will get addicted to those kind of medicine, and ultimately it will reach the threshold where the medicines will stop working. So then what will we do, right? Then then we won't have any kind of emotions. It will totally distort us. So that's the reason why we have to stop and try to think that, is there any other options to take care of the negative emotions, to take care of the non-psychotic mental issues, So unless we work on the negative emotions from inside, the solution that has been taken from outside will never work for a long time. It will work for some temporary, but then what? Then what if the negative emotions keeps on showing again and again? It keeps on troubling again and again. So we can't repeat the medication every time. We have to think for that too. So that's why it's important to understand that there is an inbuilt remedy or potential in us. So why don't we use that instead of taking the medicines and drugs and so on, right? Okay, so in this fast advancing world, we have less and less knowledge. And additionally, we have less interest in knowing about the characteristics of our mind. We have no interest to know about the internal world. And then again, we want less inconvenience. We want to achieve everything without any effort. We want everything to be fixed right away and easily, and we want everything to be very perfect. We don't want anything that consumes our energy and something. So we have those two polar, how do you say, the polarity of our what do you call our preferences. The one thing is, we don't want to make effort and want to learn about the characteristics of our mind. But then on the other side, the thing is, we want everything to be fixed right away. We want everything to, we would always think about the benefit. We would always want to get everything easily and without spending any kind of energy. So we have those two different, what do you say, the word, polarity of the preferences. So in this well-facilitated world, if we don't like something, we just cancel, right? We just cancel it, and if we don't want something, we just want to cut it off, cut it off and all those things. But we can't apply that method to our stressful mind. we can't cut off our mind, you know. Our mind is, the emotions are attached with our mind. Emotions are the ripples of our mind. It's the waves of our mind. So we can't cut off the negative emotions like depression and anxiety and fear, PTSD, and so on, right? The thing is, when we don't want something, we can just cancel it, and we can just delete it, but we can't delete the known psychotic mental events that troubles us. So for that, the thing is, we have to fix it. So we are too used to the fast supply of facilities and comfort in this fast developing world that we don't have this patience, or we have at the same time we don't have the time to look into inside, to peek into the internal world. So that is the problem that goes opposite. We want everything to be perfect, and we are like quite used to the perfection, but at the same time we are lazy. We don't want to make effort. We are not interested in meditation. We don't want to sit and cut ourselves from this society, from this world. So that's the main problem that we have. So the main problem is not the adversity. The main problem is our own preferences, the polarity of the preferences that I have mentioned. So that is the main problem in this contemporary world. So now the thing is, how can we fix our disturbing emotions, right? Okay, so first strategy, I should say, strategy is understanding the power of our mind. The mind is the most powerful thing, right? The mind can fix everything. The mind can also destroy everything. So the problem is generated by the mind, and the problem is also solved by the mind. So our body is like a base, like platform. Feeling is the mental event that experiences physical and mental sensation when the subject interacts with the object. When these two subject and object interacts, then the feeling occurs, right? So the body aggregate. Out of 5 aggregates, the body aggregate is the base. Feeling aggregate is the mental event that experiences the interaction between subject and object. And the third aggregate is the perception. The perception is 6 senses that perceives the identity of objects. So when the subject communicates with the object, then the perception is the one that identifies, that understands the characteristics of the object. So that is the third aggregate, which is the perception aggregate. And the fourth one is formation aggregate. So formation aggregate is the conditioning existence of all the mental events, and conditioning existence disassociated with known mental and form. So which means the formation is the conditioning existence, conditioning factor, you can say conditioning factor that encapsulates the whole phenomenon. Doesn't matter if it's what you call, if it's animated or inanimated, right? And the sixth aggregate is the consciousness. So consciousness is it comprises 6 senses. Consciousness has the constituent of 8 different consciousnesses. The first 6 constituents are the 6 senses, and on that we have the afflictive emotions plus the all-ground consciousness, which is the alaya, which is the storage of all the karmas, the karmas of negative and karmas of positive. So, so there are 8 different consciousnesses in the consciousness aggregates, right? So those are the 5 aggregates. Because I'm mentioning the 5 aggregates here, because 5 aggregates are related in this topic. Because once we don't have, once we have no idea that how our 5 aggregates work, then we won't have any idea that how the adversities are related with the spiritual path, how the adversities are related with our consciousness aggregate, how the adversities are related with the perception aggregates. So once we have this very short, or we can say the very brief idea of how the 5 aggregates are related with the adversities, then we would be able to dismantle, or we would be able to figure out how how the path or practices or meditation works, right? So that's why that's just a brief idea that how the interaction of subject and objects happens. Okay, so that was about the first the strategy that is about understanding the power of our mind. Then the second one is emotions, right? And now this second strategy, it talks about the emotions. So emotions are moods. You can say moods, or emotions are the expressions of our mind. So only the mind has the power to fix the emotions, because emotions are the expressions of our mind. So only mind can change the course of negative emotions. None of the medicines and other object or money or like status or career can change the course of negative emotions. Only our mind can change the course of our negative emotions. So mind is the most powerful agent in this existence. So our mind will perceive and deal with the circumstances according to the level of our understanding of the reality of the life. You know, so the thing is, when we perceive the situation, let's say the negative situations, when the things try to interact, the thing is the mind will perceive according to what kind of understanding you have, what kind of wisdom you have. When you have the wisdom, you see through that wisdom, you conceive through that wisdom when you interact with the adversity. So that's why our mind perceives the situation according to the level of its insight or its understanding. So when our mind is not tame, then our mind is like light feather. Like it keeps on. It's very what you call fickling and very feeble too. So because when the mind has no idea about the reality of the samsara, and when mind is not tamed, and we don't have enough insight or wisdom with us, then the mind is like very unstable. It keeps on straying from here to there. Sometimes our mind would think that I will try this one to deal with this kind of situation. Then tomorrow we will try another like method to deal with, to try to deal with the negative emotions, which means we don't have our own stance. It keeps on changing once you don't have how to deploy, how to activate the mind's power to deal with the situations, right? So that's why when our mind is not tamed, our mind is controlled by our emotions. It's totally under the emotions. Our mind is enslaved under the emotions. And emotions are controlled by the external situations. So that is how the adversities affects or impacts our mind in a negative way, right? So mind is controlled when untamed. I'm talking about untamed mind is controlled by emotions, and the emotions are affected by the external situations and also the internal situations at the same time. And our physical and mental habitual patterns also rules our mind. So there are so many agents that are like controlling our mind, our emotions, our habitual patterns, and our physical habits, like those when we have those negative physical habits and negative addictions, those also controls our mind. So once we don't tame our mind, then others, all those agents are like just there to affect us like, you know, in a negative way. So once we have tamed our mind, we can release ourselves from the oppression from the suppression of emotions and situations. So we can easily release ourselves from the suppression or from the subjugation of emotions and situations. Then the mind gains the freedom to perceive and act independently despite the emotions and situations. So the thing is, our mind has the mental event, right? Our mind has many like different mental events. So those are the emotions. It keeps on occurring and it keeps on disappearing at the same time. None of the emotions, it remains, but it keeps on coming, it keeps on going, right? But then the thing is, when we are not independent, then we are impacted by those coming and going emotions, right? Once we have achieved this independence from our emotions, then our mind is the one that rules. So that's why the famous proverb by Lord Buddha, he says that you are your own masters, right? So you can become your own master if you have tamed the mind, if you have the strength to control the emotions. If only it's possible, only if you try to tame, or you try to train yourself through the meditation. So if we don't tame or train the mind, then we are not master of our own, because we get influenced very easily from external and internal situations. Okay, so that is about the second, and the third one is the concept of law of karma. So once we understand the concept of the law of karma, you know, the cause and the effect of karma, then that understanding help us to deal with the adversities too. Okay, so for that, let me first explain the law of karma. What is karma? So karma gives us the karma understanding of karma is that when we do good action, then it gives us a pleasant result, right? When when we do the misdeed or negative actions, then it results in misery. So that is the concept of karma. That's the law of karma, right? Therefore, there is no other agent to whom we ask for happiness. We don't have to go somewhere to someone to ask. We don't have to go to somewhere for mercy to ask for the happiness. Likewise, there is no other agent to whom we blame for our adversities. So we have to understand both the ways. There's no one can give us happiness, and there is no one that gives us the problem too, adversities or problem too. The thing is, you are the one that you can save yourself, and you are the one that is that is to blame for the negativities. You can't you can blame others for that. That's why we should make a good cause to meet a good result and avoid the misdeed to stop the suffering. We can easily estimate. So it says in the most of the text, especially in the foundational vehicle or foundational path text, you will see that it says that looking at your present situation, we can easily estimate what kind of action you have committed in your past. And by looking at your present action, we can easily estimate what our future will be, what our future karma will be, right? So through this proverb, or you can say through this, we can understand that karma could be understood in two ways. The karma of the past, right? The karma of the past, the karma of the future karma. The future karma depends on our action, right? And the past karma, it is the origin or cause of our present situation. So instead of just complaining or mourning, about the adversity, we should find the cause of suffering and try to fix it by changing our actions and our mindset. So that's the best way to do that. So there are two types of karma, the collective karma and individual karma. So individual karma is caused by individual and results in individual. Collective karma is caused by more than one being, and it results in collectively. So His Holiness Dalai Lama would always say that, he would always say when we Tibetan refugee people, because we have lost our country, and so Dalai Lama, he would always advise us that what could be the worst to lose your own motherland or your country, and have to live in exile in someone's country. But perceiving that situation from the concept of karma has always kept me and my people moving forward. So that's what Dalai Lama, he would advise us Tibetan people all the time. He would say that because of the karma, that inspires him to move forward, that inspires him to spread the path of Buddhism to people in order to help mass people. And he said that the concept of karma taught him to focus more on amending the negative actions. Because of our own negative actions, we lost our country. Our country is conquered by the China. So it happened because of our past collective karma. So Dalai Lama, he would say that escaping from Tibet was also a blessing in disguise that spread Buddhism in the wider range, and it benefited myriads of people, myriads of beings, you know. So he would always like inspire us by saying that we have to accept that thing because that's our karma. We can't change that. But the thing we can change is the future karma. So for that, the thing is not to repeat the thing that has already occurred. You know, the thing is we lost our country. So that's the situation that we can't change. But then the situation that could be changed is our present action and our present mindset. What kind of mind you hold, you know? So, I took that the advice from His Holiness, and I'm just mentioning here because it's related with the concept of karma. So even my own master, Tulku Sang-ngag Rinpoche, he was imprisoned for 9 years in Tibet during the Chinese invasion in 1970s. So he would tell us that that was a blessing in a way, because he got the opportunity to meet his spiritual masters, and he got the opportunity to practice in the prison, you know. So Rinpoche would say, since his master taught him the concept of karma, and he was instructed inside the prison how to hold the pure perception against the Chinese guard and against the Chinese government, you know. So from then on, he would say that he felt uh, even for an instant, he said that he didn't felt like he was in prison, you know. So from that moment, he felt like he's not in a prison at all. So because his instruction and his teaching, or you can say advice, his master's advice, change Rinpoche's mindset. Yeah, so from that, situation, we can understand that our mind is like it is influenceable. You can say we can influence our mind. Our mind is not like a object that couldn't penetrate or something like that. Our mind is very flexible. But then the thing is, we need a good mentor who could teach us how to activate the mind when we are in challenging situations, and when we are in a during this especially during this during the state of this contemporary world, you know. Okay, so I was just taking those excerpts from Rinpoche's life story. So it's related with his life story too. So the thing is, history, we learn history so that we don't repeat it again, you know. So history is the thing that is already past. So the question is, why do we learn the history when the things are already past? But the importance of learning the history is that when we learn the history and we understand that we have made some mistake from here in the past history, then we can determine, we can decide or be determined that we won't repeat the history in history where we have made the mistake, right? So yeah, so it's the same, like same here in terms of karma. The thing is, once you face the adversities, the situations, then we have to accept it. We have to accept it, and when we accept, then only we can change. If we don't accept, if we keep on blaming others, accusing others, then how could we change? Right? So the thing that could be changed is you and me. We can change ourselves, right? I can change you, or I can change her or him or others. But I can change myself. I have the power to change myself. So that's why the thing is, once we accept, then we can take the further step to change So once we are able to change the perception, the conception, then the adversities are nothing. You know, the adversities, like we will begin to see the adversities from our own insight, not from our senses, but from our insight, from our wisdom. We will begin to think, see from our wisdom. So it will make our life easier, you know, our lifestyle easier, and the way of our thinking and the way we behave, we can amend it very easily in that way. Okay. So then, now we will move to the fourth strategy, that is about the emotions. The emotions, after facing the adversities, then it influences our emotions, right? So the thing is, we are very attached to our feelings and emotions. We will always, when we talk with people or we share with people, we always talk about my own feelings, because we give such importance to our feeling. Whatever we talk, it would be always be like related with my own feelings. And the thing is, if we have the feelings that are independent, then it's okay. But if it's not independent, it's dependent feelings, which means the feelings are the feelings that has been influenced by the external and internal situations, then then those feelings are not our feelings. Those are just the result of external situations. But we keep on saying that my feelings and my feelings. My real feelings, it comes when my feelings are tamed. When my mind is tamed, then the feeling that comes is my real feeling, because that is not influenced by other, that is not enslaved by the other situations. Okay, so we would say I have emotions, I have this kind of emotions, and but we sentient beings have emotions, but we are not emotions, right? Because emotions, if we sit and try to analyze, then there's no emotions. Emotions are just the stream of mental events, and we put it into string, and we define those stream of our consciousness as my feelings, right? But the thing is, when we say like, oh, I'm very short-tempered person, I'm a kind person, actually we cannot identify ourselves by the emotions, especially emotions that are not tamed, the emotions that comes from untamed mind. Those emotions are very unstable. It keeps on changing, keeps on fickling all the time. So we can't identify ourselves by the emotions, because we are not emotions. We have emotions, but we are not emotions. So emotions are just the characteristics, or it's the mood. Emotions are the moods of our mind. So emotions are not the nature of our mind, right? So our emotions and our mind are two different things. We have to differentiate that. So emotions are just the characteristics or moods of our mind. That's why we can release our emotions. We can get rid of the negative emotions. We can get rid of our negative personalities, because those emotions, we are not that emotions. We have those emotions, but we are not that emotions. That's why we can change. We can get rid of the negative things. So that is the point. So once we keep on thinking that I am very short-tempered person and I am negative person, then if we identify emotions as ourselves, then we won't be able to move ahead in our life. We won't be able to amend our negative behaviors and negative thinkings and thoughts. Okay, so that's why emotions are just momentary. Emotions are the thing that occurs from the external influences, and emotions are adventitious. We have to understand. But if we fixate on emotions, then it will definitely turn into real thing, and it will torture us the rest of our life. So that is the definition of emotions. The emotions, the thing, if we try to hold it and try to keep it, then if we fixate on the emotions, then the emotions will take a real form, right? Okay, so that is about the emotions. And so now the fifth strategy is meditation. Of course, that is meditation. So meditation that comes in two different forms, right? The shamatha meditation and the vipassana meditation. Okay, shamatha meditation, we can start with the shamatha meditation because that is the base or platform of the realization. You can say the realization practice. But then shamatha can only calm our mind, that can only hone or enhance our concentration and can discipline our mind, can self-control, we can gain self-control. But then we have to take help of the vipassana meditation, which is clear insight meditation. So that second meditation, the vipassana meditation, we have to take help from that in order to bring the adversity into our spiritual path. Shamatha is just the base, like you are just cleaning the base. You are just arranging the platform. But then the drama is yet to perform on the platform, right? So that drama is the vipassana, which is the second clear meditation, clear insight meditation. Okay, so when we focus on the practice of clear insight meditation, then in that meditation, we meditate on the emptiness of emotions. Emptiness of emotions through understanding the emptiness of the threefold cycle: emptiness of subject, emptiness of object, and emptiness of action. So in that way, we engage or we involve into this three types of emptiness. This emptiness is termed as threefold cycle of emptiness: subject, object, and action. So in that way, we try to dismantle the negative emotions, which are the subject, and we try to dismantle the adversities, which are object, and we try to dismantle the action, which is the interaction between the adversities and negative emotions. So that we apply that kind of meditation in order to get rid of the negative emotions and adversities at the same time. Okay, so for example, the stressful emotions, stressful emotion is the subject, right? Then the object is the adversity or stressor, and the action of being stress. The interaction. Interaction is the action. So by understanding the nature of those three agents: subject, object, and action, when we understand the real emptiness of that, then only we can bring the adversity in our spiritual path. So otherwise, like it's not like a lottery that we just wait and by luck, if sometimes by luck we get that lottery, but then this is not a like kind of lottery that you wait, like you wait and try the luck. So bringing the adversity into a spiritual path is from one angle it's quite difficult, but from one angle it's very easy. If we understand it in a right way, then it's very easy. So the simple thing to understand the interaction between adversity and the negative emotions is that we see the situation as a adversity if only our mind sees the situation as a adversity. So we see the adversity situation as an adversity because our mind says that. Our mind tell us to see in that way. Then our emotions and all those follows after that, right? So if we don't want to see the situation as an adversity, we also have that power to do that too. We can also perceive the situations as a blessing if our mind tell us to think in that way. So it's all about the perceiver. It's not the object, the perceiver, how you perceive it, how you want to see it, how you want to do it, how you want to think about it, right? So ultimately, even though we use the term like spiritual path or whatever, ultimately it's about the mind, how our mind works. Spiritual path, if you define the path could be understood in two ways: the path of practice and path of realization. If we go deeper, then path of realization is the real path. But the realization, it happens from mind. You don't find the realization from outside. It has to be generated from your mind. So it comes from our mind, right? So that's why to exercise our mind, we need to tame our mind, we need meditation. So meditation, the practice of meditation is there to tame our mind. But then the thing is, our willingness to sit, our willingness to cut off from the distraction for a moment, even for 15 minutes or 10 minutes. But we are too busy and we have no interest, that we don't want to sit disconnected with the society these days, right? Because sometimes we are too busy, sometimes we are too busy interacting with people, or we are busy with our phones and everything, games and phones these days. So the main thing is that we have to correct our mind. We have to convince our mind. Then only the topic, the bringing adversity into our spiritual path, then it will look more suitable. Then it will begin to what you call surface. Okay. So in terms of meditation, the best one is to understand the nature of emptiness and nature of impermanence. If we apply the meditation on the nature of impermanence, it can get rid of the adversities. It can get rid of the problems, but only to some extent. But if we apply the meditation on emptiness, then it can fully, literally get rid of all the 99 problems that we have. But then it's better to start with the, if we are beginner, then it would be better to start with the meditation on impermanence. Because impermanence is the thing that is easier to digest for the beginners. Because the impermanence, it shows the changing nature, right? The changing, the unstable nature. All the problem we have begins from begins from the instability. How do you say? When the things are temporary, it's when it keeps on changing, then we feel insecure. We don't know how to react if this lifestyle, if it changes. Then the fear, then the anxiety, it takes place in us, right? So everything starts from changing, you know. So because when we are too comfortable in this state, then you don't want to change. You don't know what the second step would be, the next would be, right? Yeah. So the problem is not, then again, the one thing. The changing nature of object is not the problem. The problem is unable to accept the changing nature of phenomena is the problem. So the problem, real problem, is perceiver, we, the subject. Because when we can't accept the changing nature of the our lifestyle, or you can say the situations or relationship, then we become distressed, right? Okay, so so that's why it's important for us to first tame our mind. First, try to discipline our mind, try to gain some focus through the shamatha, the meditation of shamatha, then take the further step to understand the impermanence. Then comes the emptiness. The emptiness is a profound level. It would be like kind of first, initially, it would be difficult to digest, but then with time, if we keep on studying deeper, then it will begin to make sense. Okay, so that is about the meditation. And then the sixth strategy is to understand the compounded nature. The compounded nature, or you can say conditioned nature, or collective nature of subject and object. So once we understand that reality, the nature of the phenomena, which is the collective nature, then it can also be like kind of method for us to decrease the level of stress that we face because of the adversity. And this is all those six strategies that I have mentioned is related with the spiritual path, right? Okay, so the subject, which is our mind, is conditioned by emotions. So now the question is how the subjects are compounded. You know, how can we understand that subjects are compounded entity? So for that question, the answer is that the subject, which is our mind, is compounded by emotions, thoughts, and feelings, and so on, right? Emotions, thoughts, and feelings themselves are also compounded or conditioned by situations, external situations and internal situations. Internal can be also our body too, physiological situations too. Which means that every mental event is not independent, is not exist by itself, but is influenced by the situation, So that reality, it shows that the subject is compound. All the subject has the compounded nature. Once we understand this compounded nature subject, then it's easy to dismantle the nature of dismantle the mind that we have, you know. So when we dismantle the thoughts, emotions, everything, then where's the mind? When we dismantle the past thought, present thought, the future thought, then where's the mind? When we dismantle every second, then where's the hour? The hour we count in the clock and watch, where is the hour? So when everything is compounded, then the stream, the continuity of that thing, we take those things as a real, and then we never let it go. And then we face the problem like PTSD, past trauma, and so on, and the future, and the fear of future, insecurity of future, and all those occurs when we keep on what you call pulling the continuity of the stream of momentary of mind and emotions. Yeah, so that is the analytical meditation of understanding the impermanence. The emptiness. So you can apply it same to the objects. All the objects are also like compounded, like atoms and electrons, neurons and protons. All the small particles get together and it becomes like a big. So all the subjects are like that too, and all the subjects and objects have this compounded nature. So you must be wondering why I'm talking about this compounded nature. Because once an entity is compounded, then the chance of perfection is very, very less. And we want everything to be perfect. We want everything to go smooth, right? Successful. That's the problem. So if the subject or object are independent and doesn't have to rely on other influences, then the chance of success and perfection is 99. But once subject and object are compounded and conditioned and depend on influences, then the perfection is like you can't predict the perfection. So that's how we have to understand, and that's called the bringing into our spiritual path. Means that's the meaning. So the spiritual path is not just sitting and meditating and trying to count the mantras and trying to visualize the deity. And once you are done with your meditation session and you are the same person, like even after a decade or 2 or 3, or if the way of thinking and the action, if it stays the same thing, then I don't know, maybe there's something wrong in how we are practicing the spiritual path. So all those are the meditation means to analyze the thing. And when we gain the insight from there, then the chance of correcting the thought and behavior is higher. But if we just stay there and close eyes and meditation, and we would say, I do meditation every day and so on. But then the way of thinking is still the same, and the influence the impact of negative adversities are also the same thing. Then that's not the proper way to practice the spiritual path. Spiritual path is practiced in order to change the mind. to change the perception, to change the conception. It builds an immunity in us. So it's I would say like it within like just some years, it's impossible to change fully, but even 2% or 1%, at least 2% and 1% of change should be there if you are a practitioner, if you have meditated. Okay, so that's how we bring the adversities into our spiritual path. Now the question is to what do you say, to put into spiritual path, or to introduce the spiritual path. Do we is it must to have a like a kind of adversity? You know, the question is why there have to be an adversity in order to get into a spiritual path? Everyone doesn't have to go through like negative experiences in their life to go into a dharma or to a spiritual path. Some people, they don't have to meet like hardship in their life in order to embrace the Buddhism or embrace the path. But then the thing is, once you have like the example, for example, Gautam Buddha himself, he started this spiritual journey when he met the adversities. So it became like a kind of a cause or like a push for him to start this journey, and then he found the reality, the truth. Oh, okay. So, okay. So there's one very good proverb, or you could say this excerpt from Master Arya Deva. So here it says he said that the condition to survive is very less in this world, right? The condition to die is immense. Even the little conditions that support our life can become life-threatening if we use them more than the requirements. Yeah. So it's become very slim, like from the beginning, he says that the condition to survive is very slim, right? But on the contrary, the condition to die is very immense, like. But even the condition to survive becomes life-threatening if we don't know how to use it to a limit. So for example, like medicines, we eat medicines because we would say, I can't sleep, I have to take sleeping pill. And then it becomes like higher and higher. So it's like this, first we take the help of sleeping pills in order to get rid of the problem, the sleeping disorder, right? But then if it becomes a life-threatening, if we use that more than that. So it applies even to the food, which is the basic a basic need to survive. Even food we eat it to get rid of the hunger. But then if you eat more than that, then even the cause of the survival, it becomes like a cause of life threatening. So this Master Arya, there was this proverb. It's very what do you call it? It is full of like a kind of knowledge. If we could understand just these two sentences. So that's why our life is very fragile, and our life events and situations are very tentative, like eggshells, very right. So the reason is that everything is conditioned. So that's why it's prone to happen like that. So for that, we don't have to become sad, or we don't have to become like depressed because of the changeable or fragile nature. But then the thing is, we have to understand that. If we understand that from now, then the thing is, when we face the adversities, it would be we would be able to deal with those kind of situations. So the practice of the strategies that I have mentioned here, all of those are proactive coping, so that in case in future, if we happen to meet this kind of adversities, then during that time we have to apply these tools in order not to get a big damage mentally and physically. So that is the thing. So the nature of samsara and the suffering nature, all those are not to scare people or demotivate the people. But then the thing is, of course, we have to be happy. We have to utilize the resources that we have in this world. We have to share the happiness with others. We have to spread the happiness. We don't have to get like depressed because of the suffering nature of this samsara that were taught by Lord Buddha. But then the thing is, when those temporary happiness, when it fades, when it goes, and when the negative things it begin to occur, then our spoiled mind, the mind that is not aware with the shocking or surprising situations, negative situations, when we are not ready for that, when it happens, then it impacts in a very intense way that we couldn't handle it, and then it destroys our life. So that's why the thing is just for a knowledge, or just for as a information, you can say the word used, information of this world, the changing world. We have to have that understanding like that. The strategies that I have mentioned. Okay, so then the last one, the one is that Charles Darwin's theory, the Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection. So in that, it says that the species that are more adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and pass on their genes. That's the theory, right? Likewise, people who are adapted to the nature of the existence could live longer life, could live healthy life, can proliferate in a healthy way. Okay, so I will wrap it up here. And so if you guys have questions, please be free to ask.
Thank you so much. Jetsunma is very, very helpful.
My pleasure.
We do have 3 questions. The first is, part of the suffering of samsara seems to relate to being intellectually aware of habitual patterns and negative emotions, while simultaneously feeling unable to deal with them, particularly grief. Living in the world is so full of duties, distractions, and heartbreak, it's difficult to meditate enough to realize non-dual awareness. Without realizing pure awareness or the empty nature of phenomena, one remains attached to phenomena, which we're taught is illusory. Please advise on how to work with discouragement. Thank you.
Thank you. So according to that question, my answer is that, okay, so in terms of gaining a wisdom, there are 3 procedures that we have to go. The first one is through learning. Through learning, we gain a substantial knowledge, and through contemplation. contemplation is through analyzing the nature, what you have learned, the first procedure, whatever you learned, and then you analyze or contemplate on that. And in that way, also you gain a kind of a knowledge or insight. And the third one is meditation. The first, second, third. Third one is the meditation. Meditation is like going deeper, beyond just the intellectual learning. It goes more into experiential learning, and for that you spend time on meditation, so that whatever you have learned, you could apply that on daily basis, so that you develop a kind of habit of that. Let's say if because of a sport, if I fracture my hands, if I'm righty, then if I fracture my right hand, then I have to adapt with the left one. Because now the thing is, before the accident, I have no, because I would be eating and doing everything with my right hand, because I'm righty. So, but then the thing is, you have to get the habituated with your left hand, because you have no choice, right? So likewise, the meditation is more like a habit. Meditation is habituation. So when you sit and try to focus on whatever you have learned, and you try to focus, gain focus, and then you analyze on that and make it more like approach it through the experiences. And then it develops a kind of habit, in the same like able to write with my right hand when my left is fractured. So through that time also you gain a kind of a insight, or you gain a kind of knowledge. So comparing to those three different knowledge that you have gained just through intellectual level, and the one that you have gained through contemplating on that, spending some time on contemplating on whatever you have learned. And ultimately, you are putting whatever you have learned into action, right? Action, and by gaining, in that way, when you gain the habit to apply that in your life, then it becomes like easier. It is like more like what do you say, practical than just through the intellectual level. So in this busy life, like everyone has their own life things to do. But then just spending some time even on the intellectual level, just to listen to some kind of teachings, or like reading books or something like that, even on intellectual level of understanding also help us to deal with the grief, like of course it doesn't mean that we won't have grief at all, but then the thing is, you would be able to recover from the grief easier. The loss of something or someone won't what do you call, impact you too much or something like that. So being a human, of course, we have emotions. The emotions of grief and sadness, bereavement would be there, but then the longitude, the duration of the grief or bereavement and sadness becomes like shortened. It becomes the shortened, and it won't affect that much to us. It seems like the people who are not alcoholic. So for us, like we have never drink like alcohol, and if we just take some sip and then you get tipsy. But then if you have been consuming the alcohol for a long time, like just one cup or is not, won't that affect you, or make you tipsy. So it's the same like that thing, you know. So the one is that you have only the knowledge on intellectual level, and then for that, even it also helps to have deal with the problems or situation adversities. But then the experiential level, the understanding through experiential level is practical, and from that context, it would definitely affect in a positive way. Like you say the topic is the sometimes we would say the adversity in a disguise of blessings or something like that. We use that kind of terms. Yeah, so even in it's worth of spending just like 10 minutes from our whole life. The thing is our life, if we don't think we have time, then there's no time at all. But if we think that we can take out some time, like 10 minutes from my whole life, if I spare myself, you know, only 10 minutes in order to help myself, in order to, why can't we spare like even 5 minutes and 10 minutes for oneself? In our whole way, we have whole life, we have been taking care of other, we have been listening to them and this and that. Our life has already been like spent in order to appease other, like make other happy. And then, but why can't we spare ourselves like just 10 minutes in a day or in a week to contemplate, to meditate? So that's the meditation means it's not that you have to spend like a kind of a half an hour or like 1 hour or something like that. The quality is, it counts. The quantity doesn't matter. The quality and your intention or motivation, it matters the most.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second question. Earlier, you distinguished the physiological response, fight or flight, from the emotional response, desire and aversion. And I think you said the emotional response is the more fundamental of the two. Is that correct? If so, then if the mind is tamed so the emotions are pacified, is the physiological response also pacified?
Yeah, specify. So the pacification, it depends on the level of emotional response. How much emotional response you have pacified, according to that level, the physiological response will also react according to that.
Thank you. And the third question here. Your teaching today about the relationship between Western psychological and Buddhist perspectives is very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe the modern Western perspectives were addressed in traditional Buddhist teachings. Is that correct? So, how was mental illness handled traditionally?
Okay, so in a traditional way, so here when I came to West and studied the psychology, mm, uh, I don't know. I don't know how to say. Even the OCD problem and the OCD and the what do you say, those narcissistic personality, non-psychotic mental disorder. In our traditional way, we don't say the narcissistic personality problem as a mental issue. But then we say that narcissistic personality is a negative thing that hinders the if you think from a temporary way, then it hinders our happiness and but in terms of ultimate, we would say it hinders the path of wisdom or path of enlightenment, right? So that's how we do. So So the thing that I found is in our traditional way, there are many kind of mental emotions that we don't identify those as a mental disorder. So it of course those are like a negative personality or negative emotions. We would just say like negative emotions or something like that. The OCD problem and all those are also like many of people like in East, like I have seen them, but don't consider them as a mental disorder or something like that. But then, of course, those are considered as if it affects your negative in your daily lifestyle, then it is like kind of hindrances. We call those as poisons. Like, you can say the word like poisons, or sometimes we would mostly we term those as afflictive emotions or something like that. Yeah. So in like you said that the answer that I gave is according to the known psychotic, but psychotic mental disorder is different thing. That is the different level, like So for that kind of psychotic mental disorder, then for that we have to, of course, handle with we could handle that from the medical perspective. We can handle that even from like we do like different pujas in order to get rid of those. Sometimes we consider those as what you called affected by some kind of negative energies and something. Like for those we do the pujas, and then the thing is sometimes even it happened because of your past negative karma. Then it can be also specified by doing the collective pujas and blessings, and of course we take the help of medications too. So that is in the case of psychotic mental disorder.